That's so quick. I'm liking this. Let's bump the volume up. Yeah, I'm watching Mike Matei because I'm a child who grew up watching Angry Video Game Nerd. Oh, Rikishi feels pretty slow. I might as well actually. Yeah, you might know something about Rikishi. I'll mention it now. He has no heat in this first fight, but don't worry, my friends. He does gain heat. Rikishi 1 is like Kim, where he can't actually use a super unless he's in a stage with ropes, which is quite interesting actually. Um, it doesn't really make a difference. You're not going to use Rikishi 1 because ultimately he's just a lesser version of Rikishi 2 and 3. It's not really like you're going to use Rikishi 1 because he's a worse version of Rikishi 2 and 3. They both have no guard, which is very useful for helping you build heat. They also both have cross counter, so like, I mean Kim as well. Like, why would you pick Kim? He's one of like the majority of the cast who are very much like mid tier anyway. Because realistically, if you were to do a tier list of this game, at the bottom you'd have the brawlers. At the very bottom, I'd say you'd have either Unahimakai or you'd have Joe 1. I'd probably put Kai over Joe 1 because at least he has a super. Joe 1 doesn't. But then it's like hard because it's like, well, Joe 1 at least like attacks at like a normal speed. But Kai does have a super. I don't know. They're both really shit. It's hard as to where I'd put them. In terms of single player usage, I would put Kai over Joe 1 because at least he has a super, and that does fuck up the AI, and they tend to stay down if you hit him with a super. But Joe 1 doesn't even have that option. It's what makes the other brawlers like more tolerable, like Joe 2, Nishi 1, and Gondo. They have a super, but they have normal speed. So like with this easy mode stuff, yeah, they can smooth through. They'll land a super, and most likely the opponent's staying down. Joe 1 doesn't have that luxury. But on the other end, on the other side of the spectrum, other end of the spectrum, I should say, at the top of the tier list, you probably have someone like Joe 5. I'd say, since Joe 5 has the most like counters he can do. He can counter the cross counter, I'm pretty sure. He can counter Haramao, which is crazy. He can also counter Carlos. So like, it's ridiculous. Joe 5 is by far the best character in the game, bar none. I mean, Carlos is probably second best, along with the Rikishi 3. The Rikishi 2 or 3 is probably second best. Top 3 is like, it'd be Joe 5. I think Joe 5 would be the top. And then it'd be like Carlos, or then Rikishi 2, 3. Rikishi 2, 3 are like their joint plays. And then Carlos. It would be those guys. That would be the top 3 of this game. By far. Most characters are just mediocre. Most of the cast is just mid tier. It's like low tiers, mid tiers, top 3 is how I do this game. Like Danpei'd be like low mid because like he has boxer but he's slower. So he's like, you know. As you see here again, see, Rikishi doesn't have a super against Danpei because he needs to be with ropes. He needs to be in a ring. Not really an issue since there's only like, I think 2 stages in the game which don't have ropes, being the park and obviously the Saints Row 2 default crib. My favorite stage personally. Well, actually no, my favorite stage is probably the Danpei gym or the Hawaii stage because they have like the best music. This song is pretty good too, actually. I like this song. It is weird playing this stage and not having to hear the kids screaming Joe's name. That's a pretty cool feature. I'm still not convinced that every character has unique like chants from the crowd. Some do. I know Rikishi does. Obviously Joe does. I don't know who else does. I'd assume Jose, like big characters like Jose and Carlos probably have chants too. But who knows? This is the longest I've gone actually talking about the game itself. Crazy. I actually did record Rikiishi 1, 2, and 3. I have to re-record them because I didn't do the mixing right. And I guarantee this time the mixing will be the opposite problem, where instead of the music being too loud and me being too quiet, I'll be too loud and the music will be too quiet, which really sucks. But that means I've got to redo the whole thing again. And I got a comment. Being like, play Inagaki or Aoyama. And I'm like, I will. Don't worry, I will do that at some point. But I am intending to go through the game as every character anyway, so like, we'll get to them. I think they're actually after the Rikiishis. That was a very well timed block. Sorry, the music took hit. Oh, so dumb. Rikiishi 1 probably would be like low tier actually, along with Kim, or like low mid, because like, yeah, they're boxers, but you can't use their special unless like you're against the ropes. That's so specific. Not hella specific, but like, at least Carlos, who has a rope work special, he has other specials. Carlos has 3 specials. He has one against the ropes. He has a regular attack one, and he also has cross counter. So it's like, you know, bro's kind of busted. But then again, Rikiishi 2 is similar. Like, he has an attack super, but he also has cross counter. Rikiishi 3, I don't remember. I think he has an attack super and a cross counter. I could be wrong though. I feel like he has both. Actually, I feel like Tiger would be really good, because Tiger actually might be top tier too, because he has a potentially same with Aoyama. They have a counter super, but there's nothing in the game that can counter them. Like with a cross counter, another cross counter character can obviously do a triple cross or a double cross. But with Aoyama and Tiger, you can't do shit. Nothing can counter it. They actually might be the best. I think Tiger might be top tier actually. Tiger might be the best character in the game. Like any character with a counter super naturally is going to be top tier. But like a counter super that nothing can do anything, no one can do anything about, is clearly like the makings of like, yeah, you're the best. You're the best in the game. Fuck off, Inaba! No need, is there? Wolf, my friend. What are you doing, buddy? Can you fuck off? Why are you so aggressive? I wish this was a game where the characters were more unique. I think that would just make it more enjoyable to play. And also the fact that, you know, hey, I have something to talk about. Unfortunately, I don't. I really don't have anything to talk about with these games, or with these characters, because they're just all the same, except for the brawlers. But like, you know, we've seen how many? 4 of them now. We've seen the most interesting characters already. Everything else now is just mediocre as fuck. It's gonna be really hard to like, you know, continue doing the series. I'm obviously gonna finish it. Like, I'm pretty much halfway through the cast at this point. A thing I've just thought of is that, like, if I don't know, maybe if the cheats exist, I could potentially play the Super Nintendo game with all the different characters, and that could be quite interesting, especially to show them off. And for my series I'm making, which is going to be covering the SNES game, but from a speedrunning standpoint, in case people want to speedrun the game. I think I said this before, but I actually would recommend you do it. 1, because I want challenge, and I want competition. But 2, because it's actually surprisingly fun. It's no Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but that also means, you know, hey, it's not such like a highly competitive crowd with such like amazing top players. It's a game people can learn, and it doesn't take long to learn. Streetwise has like an absolutely amazing guide on the game that gives you so much information. If I give you like speedrunning hints, tricks as well, then like people might pick it up. And it's super fun. It's like, you know, a lot of my runs now are like 7 minutes. 7, 8 minutes. It's not a long time. Not for a full game run anyway. You can get like a lot of runs on like in just an hour. If you have an hour to spare, you can get like quite a few runs. Probably get some good runs too. But no, that's going to be coming up soon. At some point when I can obviously script it. I've scripted the first episode, which is just kind of like a introduction, basics and stuff. A lot of the info I'm using will be from the Streetwise guide. Streetwise is the name of the guy who made it, of course, makes sense. I'm using a lot of the information he had in his guide, so yeah. It won't be until the other videos where like I'll obviously be doing more strategies for the opponents, which is where it gets pretty interesting. No, I think you guys should stick around for that. There'll be quite a few, quite a bit of Ashton and Jug content still to come. And then obviously I'm going to have to move on to different games because eventually I will be done with this game. Eventually I will finish this game and we'll be done with it. I'm also debating on doing Bad Game Christmas, which is not something you guys would ever know about unless you happen to watch my YouTube channels when I was about 14, 15. Which, yeah, you might have, you probably wouldn't have. I'd be surprised if you did. Bad Game Christmas was basically a series where I would play a bad game every day in the build up to Christmas. Usually it was like supposed to be a 24-day thing, but hey ho, I might just do 12 days. I might do 25, 24. Depends on what I do. Obviously, a lot of those videos would have to be like in a backlog. I'm considering doing it again. To be honest, I might do it. It was a really fun series. I really enjoyed doing it. I'd have to start recording stuff now so I could have a backlog because I think for a lot of December I probably won't have the time to do it. But hey ho, it is what it is really.